Hello and welcome to another scene for the living world of darkness, rage across the dreaming. Today's scene takes place as Bailey leaves a scrapyard in lower Manhattan, and after sort of mulling over what the great volumes of things she does not know about her allies, has decided to head in the direction of the Woolcroft apartments, where she once again finds herself in the lobby, face to face with a doorman who is certain she does not belong there. Look, I was here like 2 weeks ago. Just could you just give him a call and just let him know Bailey is here? And yeah, after being annoying for about 15 minutes, a call to let Charles know somebody is down in the lobby.
Charles is currently sitting in the nook of the new foliage that has grown out of his apartment. He has a bed still set up. Yes, now he's had to feng shui the place a little bit more, but he's taken this spot as sort of a thinking spot, especially during these nightmare times where having to consider things, especially now that he's able to, especially these days, this week at least, he's been able to get a little more rest than usual. The dreams are still there, but his understanding of them seems to have been bolstering him a little bit more. They're not as intense. Um, but he's still sitting in the nook of the day of the tree of Dagobah, debating, pondering certain things, sort of trying to piece together certain things in his mind palace with recent events. But he snapped out of his reverie as the buzzer rings, or as the buzzer rings, and he gets up and he gets to it by about the third ring before he, yes,
In the
yes.
background, you hear, tell him I'm here.
Oh, is that Bailey? Roger, I thought we talked about this. Please send her up.
And she'll kind of bleh at him when she gets the go ahead.
Yeah.
And a few minutes later, after a long elevator ride,
Mm.
there will be the
And Charles opens the door and he's his charming self. That smile that just seems a little way too sharp. It's like, Bailey, what an unexpected surprise. Can I take your coat, your bags, anything?
uh, just point me in the direction. I'll put it down myself.
You know, whatever cubicle is fine. It's one of those nice little, like,
Mhm.
stylized sort of like things. Oh, here's your cubby, for lack of a better term, like sort of thing.
Yeah, and she'll like throw her backpack and stuff in place, and so like sort of like him and ha about
Yeah.
what she needs to talk about for a bit, and engage
Did
in like
you need something to drink? I mean, I'm not sure how far you've had to travel, especially from Brooklyn. Do you water, milk? I'm afraid that's as far the most I have. I mean, unless you're looking for something a little harder.
um like what do you mean Hada?
Well, I have an assortment of wines. I have an assortment of spirits. It depends.
Spirits? What, like
Um,
liquor?
Liquor, yes, liquor.
uh you know what, dealer's choice.
Fair enough, he says as he goes off, and he is going to mix up some. When it comes to your bourbon, do you prefer it on the rocks or neat?
uh Yeah, in a glass?
Do you want ice with it?
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
He makes one with on the rocks for Bailey, one neat for himself, and he brings it out to Bailey.
Mm. She'll take like a gulp of it.
Hmm.
Kind of sweeter than I was expecting.
Hmm. Well, you've missed out a little bit of the burn. The ice tends to water them down from my experience. He says as he takes a sip out of his and just hisses through his teeth at. Hmm. But anyway, what do I owe the unexpected pleasure?
Uh, uh, she just she sits down the glass for a moment, just like rubs at her temples. How many questions can I ask you before it gets offensive, or is it more along the lines of subject matter?
Well, it's really going to depend. I think the subject matter is going to be the thing, and I think if we were going to be depending on the questions, I think quid pro quo would have to be involved.
Uh, all right. So, to avoid us getting into trouble for too much quid pro quo, perhaps we both lay out the questions ahead of time and decide
Hmm,
if they are things that we will answer for each other.
fair enough. Although all things considered, I didn't have any questions right off the top of my head, but I'll think of them as we go along. What are your questions? And I'll let you know what might need a balancing act.
How many of you are coming to help us?
That one seems simple enough. I don't think I need to ask anything on that one. So far, aside from the 50 infantrymen,
12 of Leon's men and whatever player base.
yeah, so far it's a little uh, it's iffy. I think it's like 5 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, the 50 infantrymen, 12 of Legion's personal guard, and I'm just gonna say 7 for the time being. I'm not counting myself at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and maybe about 7 other individuals of more specialist skills. Possibly more. I'm still recruiting.
All right, so 69 fairies. Um, how many are like you?
Like me?
Yes, the leaves and the who's it.
Well, I'm afraid I'm the only one like me, he says with a smile. But if you're referring to my particular kith, is what we call it. My kith is at least numbering in the I'm assuming the red gar is mostly she.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least 50.
Um, what else are there?
Well, that one might require some quid pro quo because that might require me to ask how many of there are you.
When you ask how many of us there are, do you mean here in New York, or do you mean like a grand total?
Oh, I meant more of anything of a dividing species that might keep you mentioned. You mentioned you were Bonar, I think, or
Yeah.
Ragabash. I'm not
Yes.
quite sure where the dividing line between that one is.
I'll tell you what you want to know about me. No problem. Um, okay, Ragabash. I in that sort of like destiny horoscope kind of way, I was born when there was no moon in the sky. And so my general purpose in life is to question things, to make examples of folly, and to generally be that poor schlub that gets kicked around by the more powerful sorts.
Hmm. And Bonar.
Add an extra dash of kicked around. Um, some individuals place a lot of stock in knowing who your dad's dad was, or in some cases, who your mom's mom was. We don't know. Viengaru is good enough for us. And so all those little people that don't quite cut the mustard for other groups, we gather them in. We say, come along, baby. We got something for you to do.
Hmm. I see. So it's a fair assessment to say there are other camps aside from Bonar's.
Yes.
Hmm. And it would also be fair to say that depending on what phase of the moon you were born under dictates something within your society.
Within the society and your general outlook on life, yes.
Hmm. Very interesting. Well, I'm afraid we're not quite as complicated. We have our kiths. And kiths are a number of individuals are born under a very, well, not a moon or anything along those lines, but they are what they are. They represent something very broad, and yet each individual represents something very unique. There are 13 recognized kiths. There are more mm, specialized groups, but I think for our purpose of conversation, we're going to stick with our original 13.
All right. So there's you. You said you were a she.
Mm.
Uh, Cammy's girlfriend. You guys got fox people.
Oh, we have foxes, frogs, giraffes, lions,
Ugh,
hawks
cats.
and eagles and crows, sometimes wolves.
Hmm.
Miss MJ is what we call to be a puka.
Uh, not to be a little too rough with my language here, but the fuck is a puka?
Pukas are tricksters. Pukas are liars. Pukas are animals. They are primal dreams given form.
So you're telling me my friend is with a liar?
Mm, quite a quite a well practiced one, as are all puka.
I'm not sure I like that.
Mm. Well, I'm from what I understand, there's a very big mix between puka who like what they are and those that do not. Sometimes it's quite painful for them to tell the truth because they find the truth to be absurd.
The truth is the truth. Lies are the fucking absurd thing.
That's what they would say. That's what, and I assure you, they would argue you to the moon and back about that.
Hmm.
I like talking with Puka. They give me a far more of an exercise in conversation than most.
Um, what are the blue ones?
The blue ones, those would be trolls.
Aren't trolls the little plastic guys, naked, jewel in the stomach, stupid hair?
He sort of pauses at that one, and he thinks back. And there's like an awful grimace at that. Whoever decided that those were trolls. Ugh. No, 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 no. Trolls are of a very noble if stubborn breed.
They any good in a fight?
Hmm. There's almost like a slight grimace. It's like some are exceptionally so.
You any good in a fight?
He sort of stops. Why do you want to know?
Well, Charles, this is a war. And I understand that this alliance so far has been very, well, it's a lot more clandestine than I'm comfortable with. You know, mysterious allies from long ago and favors being offered that I am not privy to, in spite of any authority granted to me. Um,
And I thought you were beta of the pack and the lowest of low.
ugh, a lot can change in 2 weeks.
He sort of raises an eyebrow. Oh, pray tell.
Mm. I had a talk with the individual who was serving as alpha for my pack,
Hmm.
and it was decided that she was not up to the task.
Through conversation.
Largely.
Hmm. He sort of smiles. Continue.
And yeah, so you're talking to the new alpha of my particular pack.
Well, congratulations. Had I known about that, I would have broken out something extra special. I still can if you want.
Mm, nah, it's okay. This is great, she says, and picks up the drink, takes another sip. Um, don't want to put you out of nothing. I'm
Of
asking you a million and one questions after all.
course, of course.
But you didn't answer my question. Are you any good in a fight? Just look. And she puts the glass down again. Here's the thing. We're gonna be out on a battlefield. We're gonna be facing down people who would just as soon kill us as look at us. And I care an awful lot about my people. We serve a very important purpose in this world. We we represent something larger than the sum of our parts, you know? All of us. And any one of them that dies, they take a pot of me with them. There's some people who look to me to make sure that the body count stays low. Now, we have these allies that come out of nowhere. And somebody tells me that a promise was made on top of these allies that we already were offered. I don't know what this promise is. Do you know what this promise is?
Charles nods.
Is this promise going to screw us, Charles?
Only if you're not careful. He opens his eyes and he looks at her. You don't know what the promise was. And yet you're saying now, after our conversation several weeks back, that once you were low of the low, now you're being put not just as alpha of the pack, but as something higher. I'm amazed at how fast or how much has changed. It'd be unsurprising that you wouldn't know as someone who was lowest of the low, as you put yourself. But now you're touting yourself as someone more important in these matters, and the fact you don't know. Mm. I'm beginning to wonder how well your group is at communicating the agreements.
Well, you're part of the group, right? Tell me.
Before I tell you what was promised, you mentioned how every single one of you serves a purpose, how every death would be something that falls on you. Let me explain before I tell you what was promised. What each of us represent. You deserve that much. You see, we're not just fairies, but we are fae. We are, very much so. But we're dreams. Not just any dreams, not just those fanciful little flights of fancy. We are the most important dreams. We are innovation. We are that hunger for ambition, for greatness, for food. We are the ideas of becoming something better than ourselves. Greatness. We are those dreams of hope, those dreams of sorrow, those nightmares that drive us to become better than what we are. Each and every fae is a dream. Very, very important dream. And if we die, so that dream does die. So understand that very carefully, Bailey, before I tell you exactly what it was that was promised. And this is part of me also looking up the exact wording of that contract. Sorry.
Okay.
So feel free to fluffle about it until I
Yeah,
find it.
just
Jeez, there's a lot of things I have to go through.
yeah. If you go to like the little here, let me see if I. Yeah, we do send each other a lot of crap.
I'm I actually almost forgot I could just look at it, look at just
The
pure
picture.
images.
Yeah.
That might help a bit. Oh, come on. Jesus Christ.
Uh,
So, anyway, but yes,
um,
please
yeah.
waffle with Bailey a bit about that one.
So, your dreams, your like what, like forgetting your pants and going to class kind of dreams, that kind of thing.
Oh no, Bailey. We're far more than that. I'll tell you
Um,
what I am. But in return, I'm gonna need something more. I've already named off some of my kith of the kiths. I require more. What the others are, not just bone gnars.
why do you need to know that?
Oh, it's best to know each other's allies, isn't it? Good to know our numbers and the types of people we're meeting with. After all, we want to know if we're good in a fight. I want to know more. And when I tell you exactly what I am, that's going to be a very intense and very personal thing.
I already sent that thing to you, by the way.
I found it too,
Oh,
so we're good.
okay. um,
But if you don't wish to know exactly what my dream is or what I am, what dream I am composed of, it's fine. I will move on to what was promised. But I promise you this, it won't give you the context or the gravity of it.
you've told me that there's foxes and blue guys, trolls, or at least the names of them. Have you met
But
any others of my kind?
I don't know if I have.
All right. You gave me two. I'll give you two. There's and she pauses. How much of this stays between us?
Some of it I have to give to, depending on the amount of what I can give, I have to at least inform my lord, at least the parts of this conversation. I don't have to give details. Just
What
simply that
parts?
we had this conversation.
Uh-huh.
I can inform him that it was part of our a trust agreement that I had to give you at least two names of different kiths, and that you gave me tribes in confidence, or you gave me two others in two other camps. What do you call
Call them tribes.
tribes? That you gave me two tribes in confidence, and I'm not at liberty to say what they are.
If he asks you, you got to tell him, don't you?
No, I don't. There's a very specific agreement between him and I. And if I say there's a reason why I can't say something, and he coerces me to do so, that's on him. But otherwise, there's a large amount of things I do have to let him know about. But if we say right now, for our measure of confidence of a building of trust, that there are certain things I cannot talk about, then that agreement is understood.
All right. But so you're not going to tell your boss What about others? Other fairies? Other anything?
What reason do I have to tell them about anything we talk about?
Yeah. The
But then
thing
you got,
is,
but then I have to wonder whether or not you're going to be talking to other Garu about what we've been talking about.
yeah. See, when I'm asking questions, I need to know what my people are getting themselves into. And that means relaying a certain amount of intel.
Hmm.
Now, I afford you a certain amount of privacy. In mixed company, I don't use your name, for instance. Um, but these are people I care about. And I don't understand what you are. All I know is that we've got this mystery alliance. We've got these mystery promises going on with the potential to screw us if things go askew. And we're talking about a battlefield here, Charles. This ain't some, you know, square dance. Some of us aren't going to be coming back. And the pressing concern that I've had since hearing about these allies, and to be honest, seeing you for what you really are, the question is, how is someone like you, with all of your sparkling teeth and eyes and um, leafy hair, going to help people like us when we have to put teeth to bone? Making a vase not shatter isn't exactly an applicable skill. We're talking we're talking about things that could if we lose, if we lose, you lose. And the way you talk makes me a little uneasy. The way you talk about promises, the general intensity for which you approach things. You say liar like it's quaint. I hear liar and it's like, this is someone I can't trust. I got my beta fighting beside me, and this liar on the battlefield. I can't have my beta distracted to somebody who can't defend themselves or is lying to one of mine. So we can have this conversational exchange, but ultimately, I need to know that having you out there is worth the risk. And I got people depending on me. If keeping them ignorant puts them at risk, then I can't put them at risk for the sake of I had an interesting conversation. So, if you want me to keep these things secret, there needs to be assurance that doing so isn't going to result in a body count that haunts me or that includes me and those I care about. You understand what I'm saying?
There's a long silence. Charles has actually put down his glass and he's been listening. He hasn't been like looking at Bailey, but he's been like his eyes have been closed. He's been listening. He's been taking everything in. I loathe war. I loathe and rebel, and my essence itself revolts against war. But that's just me. There are others that are more than willing to engage in it, others that are experts at it. And as much as I hate and loathe and despise war because it represents everything that is anathema to me, I have fought wars. Wars you couldn't even imagine. Wars that turn the grass from green to red as they drink in the blood of those that fell. I know wars, Bailey, and I know how grave and serious they are. And I know what they take from everyone.
So you know war takes. But do you know what not going to war will lose us? Do you know that sometimes you don't have a fucking choice? It would be lovely if all we had to do in life was run through the hills howling at the moon or smell the pretty little flowers, you know, take an anger management class every now and then, and everything be hunky dory. But sometimes you don't have a fucking choice. There are people who are not willing to negotiate, or who negotiate but far too much. Everything serves them better than it serves the others. Promises that drive people mad. So you hate war because it represents anathema to all that you are. But what do you do when someone you care about, someone who is everything to you, is threatened, is injured, is maimed, is disrespected? That which gave you life, that made you what you are, whatever it is that made you what you are. Let's say somebody was attacking it, taking their teeth to it, flooding it with poison. You're going to sit there and talk to him, Charles? Going to sit there at a table looking at a madman in the eyes?
I'm going to tell them as he turns right to her and he looks at her dead in the eye to have them feel the weight of every sin they've ever committed on everyone in their life brought down upon them. And that's my bunk. It's only a -1 for him to name her as like weighed down.
Are you trying to curse Bailey? Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, that's him making his example.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Um. Oh, that's well, that is whoa, shit. That's that's four successes. Sorry. So weighed down. And so hopefully, if it's like with four successes, the idea is the hope is the intention is just like
Just to flatten her.
yeah, not to hurt her, but to like the point she's like heavy, like
Okay.
she's having a hard time pressing
So,
herself up.
yeah, as you say, weigh them down. She like
Probably
first her
smash
sh-
like goes right through the table too.
well, I was going to say like first her shoulders start bringing her down out of the chair with like that sort of just no grace slide to the ground with like the thud of the weight of this magic.
Mhm.
And you see panic hit her eyes. And as she does, a snarl and a growl as she shifts into Krynos. This is
Mhm.
not a frenzy roll because,
Yeah.
but yeah, just this weighted Garu snarling at you.
You want to know exactly what I would do with anyone who would dare threaten those that I care about? You wanted an example? This is your example, Bailey. Think I don't take this serious? He says as he's pacing, like, out of range of her, just in case somehow she manages to find the will or wherewithal to leap up at him. No, Bailey. I take this very seriously. And this is just about a taste of what I can do. You want the. I'm just doing this to you right now. I could lay out legions like this with just my words, Bailey. With my words. Without lifting a finger. So when I say that my words change the world, understand this, Bailey. My words change the world. So I'm going to sit at that table and I'm going to talk until they eviscerate, until they empty their own bowels. I am going to tear them asunder with a word, because sticks and stones may break my words, may break my bones, but words rip ever so deeply, Bailey. And that's just me.
She's still on the ground, snarling at him as she's like trying to lift herself up. Turn it off. Is like she's trying to say through the growls. If you want to do your understanding thing, you can.
Mm-hmm.
um,
I'll do his I'll do his language thing. I think I get a +3 bonus to understanding language. I think it's academics.
mhm.
So trying to remember. I think that's 10d10 at this point. I could be wrong. I
Mm,
can't see my sheet, so yeah, I think he understands it.
yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely understanding. As you see, he listens. Has turned that off between her thing. I don't know if she's speaking Garu to him or not.
probably
But
just growls that mean turn it off as
yep,
opposed to proper Garu.
yeah, it's like And he's going to actually respond in that sort of like in that growling tongue as well. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's enough to say it's like, I will, Bailey, because you asked. Just don't jump at my throat. And he turns it off.
She doesn't jump at his throat, but she definitely like stands up and immediately like looms at him and then puts those massive hands on his shoulders and picks him up
And he
to look
doesn't.
her in the eyes.
He doesn't even, it's like no resistance whatsoever.
And there's like the sound of parts shifting about as she adjusts her vocal cords. This is not how you treat allies.
You wanted an example, Bailey. I gave you one.
And she brings him close so he can feel like the heat of her anger on her breath.
Mm-hmm.
This is not how you treat friends either. And like she lets go of him, not like from a great height, but definitely enough to
Mm-hmm.
where he'd have to catch
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah. He does collapse down on the ground.
And she takes a step back and like and after a few moments she shifts back down. I don't know what the fuck you were thinking doing that to me, but I swear to God, if I ever see you do something similar to another Garu, I will personally become your living hell.
I did that because you wanted me to understand that you were serious. And as your friend, I wanted you to know that I was as well. I don't take this lightly.
What did our people promise the Count?
He stands up, adjusts himself. For any of the Fae that fall directly under the County of New Hope, the Count's territory, that serve and die beneath the Gauru's banner during this cumulative battle, a favor is owed to the Fae of equal magnitude of what they offer the Dreaming, to be carried out by a Garu selected by those bound by these contracts. The two who came and presented themselves to the Count. Do you understand what that means, Bailey?
They gotta pick somebody to do a favor.
Not just a favor, Bailey. You never got to hear what I represent, what dream I am. So I tell you now, freely for the insult I have done unto you. I am language. I am communication. I am the dream that communication and language will elevate us to society, to civilization. Every poem, every sonnet, every speech about unification, every speech that decries eyes for war. I am those, Bailey. I am that dream that we live in a society of communication. That's what I am. So ask yourself, if I were to die on that battlefield, what do you think is going to be asked in return?
She just shakes her head. Fucking galleons.
Oh, that's a new one. I'm assuming another phase of that moon.
Mm. She just she has like her thumbs, like the corner of her eye, the inner corner. She just shakes her head, just ugh. And we're talking what, the 60 of you?
Possibly more.
We have our own fucking thing to do, you know.
So do we. But I'm telling you now what was promised when no one else would. And I'm also telling you what no one else knows, the gravity of what that promise is, Bailey.
Why is it that your people get special treatment if they die for a war they're volunteering for?
That's not my place to say. I didn't make that agreement. Personally, I hate the whole matter.
Do you think your people are more important than my people? Do you think that this is a fair bargain?
I think it's a bargain that no one, that nothing, that your side didn't even, that barely even tried negotiating for. They were very well aware of what they were agreeing to before they signed it. And from what I understand, hardly a peep.
Do you even know what we're up against?
No. And that's what scares me. That we know not that I know next to nothing about what's coming our way, that the information given to me is 500 of something that I don't even know what it is.
Veins. These these fucking monsters. They're they're insane. Driven mad for who they serve. You notice the weather?
Charles nods.
Veins Veins do that.
I think I'm gonna roll a intelligence grammar real fast just to see if I can say this line because I think it would be appropriate if he managed to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's see, intelligence is 3, my grammar is 3, so 6.
Nope.
Nope, doesn't know it. So he can't say the line I wanted to say. Damn it. Okay. Summer's dead.
Wouldn't that be a lore thing?
Possibly, I don't know. I
Um,
don't fucking know. Things are weird.
well, if we're talking about like the changeling approach to like autumn and winter and stuff like that,
Yeah.
yeah, like it would be changeling lore. Do you know
I,
your score for that? Do you need me to look it up?
I only have one in it because I never bothered raising any of these freaking lures because they've never been useful. I'm sorry. I have to say it. They've never been useful. I've had no reason to come up with them. But I'll roll those 4 dice just to see.
Mhm. There you
Oh,
go.
apparently
One.
one success on it.
Hmm.
I think that might be enough to get with that line.
Hmm.
Summer's dead.
I fucking hope not.
At
We'll have
least
fucked
this.
up real bad if that's the case.
No, this time around at least. But you say whatever did this did that.
Mm. There's I don't know how spiritual you are, but spirits are a thing. There was a feast and the summer queen, she was grabbed. The Garu who was trying to save her wasn't strong enough. They failed. She was grabbed.
And this Bagaru did everything that they could.
Who knows?
That might be a perception psychology. I'm sorry to suddenly be doing all these rolls here.
It's all right. Yeah. It's a role
Because it's
playing game. That's how we do sometimes.
oh Jesus! Hi. With my if like parapsychology works on that one, that's 5 successes. Otherwise, it's 3.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of sorrow and sort of self-loathing in that statement.
Hmm. You didn't feel like you did enough.
We all have our job to do. And
But you feel it. Sorry, go ahead.
we have our job to do. We have our missions. We're expected to bear the loads of everything else as well. We're soldiers first, after all. But I did what I could. But if you tell me that there was nothing I could do, or that there was nothing we could do, I swear to God, I'll jump out your window right now.
And he smiles. I wasn't saying anything along those lines. You did what you could do. And maybe that wasn't enough, but you did something. And it's more than what it sounds like what you're saying others did. Or
Nah,
at least that's what you're projecting.
others were able to take down what they were attacking. They fought, they howled, they clawed. And for all of my failures, I'm in charge of them now.
From the dirt you've risen so high, Ailey.
Let me rain down mud upon them.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry for what I did. I understand if you can't accept that.
I'll forgive you if you say swear you'll never do it again.
Not to you.
Can't have you losing your temper on my people. They're, you do that to me, and I get angry. I don't have a lot of that anger in me. You pull that on someone else. This is just a warning to you. Not many people are as calm as I am.
Not many people I would have let back up. But I understand.
I don't want anyone to die. And I have to accept that that is a real possibility. Let me paint you a word picture of what I saw. There was a territory. We'll call it the water garden. My kind. They took refuge there. And these Banes and some some of our own who have lost their way. They attacked this place. Stacked the bodies high and burned them. We took care of the wayward individuals. And then a few of us went to the high ground just to scope out the situation from a better vantage point. These Banes, they were darkening the landscape. It was like watching a river of madness on to the teeth. And looking at them, it's real hard to feel like we're gonna come out of this alive. And I look at my friends. And every time I look in their faces, I look at my fellow alphas and the expectations they have bestowed upon me. And like a coward, all I'm worried about is that I'm going to get one of them killed.
Why have you been put into that position? You who described to me so almost a dream ago that you were the lowest of low. Why have you been put into this position where you have to decide who gets to live and die?
I don't know. I don't know, and I don't like it.
I never wanted that for you.
It's one thing to do as I'm told. I'm used to doing as I'm told. Fuck. My goddamn deed name comes from doing what I was told. But I don't got the polish to command authority. My people, do you know what Bonar is a reference to?
Those that gnaw at the scraps.
Exactly. Guess who gets to gnaw at the scraps after everyone else has feasted on the meaty bits? That was the name given to us. It was a fucking slur. We're fine with it. We know. We ain't no puka peddling lies. We are honest about being the low.
I'd be careful saying that Puka peddle lies. They're honest about what they are, paradoxical as that may seem. There's wisdom in their tricks.
Oh, well, I know tricks. All kinds.
Hmm.
And I have my concerns. From the sound of things, you sound concerned a bit as well. Not sure if you have any bone hours among your prestigious lot, the lowest of the low.
I'm sure if you were to ask about them, you'd be surprised just how much they could fit in their teeth. Or in their stomachs, actually. Because they'll literally eat anything.
Hmm. I know this question may seem like it's out of nowhere. You know a guy who owns a tea shop? Real quiet guy.
Hmm. He nods slowly.
One of yours?
He nods.
good?
He's someone I'm going to be talking to soon.
Hmm. He certainly does seem to know a lot of my people. If if he holds any ill intentions towards us, you'll let me know, right?
My hope is that after our conversation, he'll be far more useful to you.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
But understand, Bailey, as much as I hate to see that this is the position you've been put into, every life of ours is something unique, something precious to the dreaming. Any one of those lives lost is a unique promise owed. And it's nothing small. So
Are
if
you
there's
gonna
one thing to take out, if there's one thing you take out of this conversation, and this is one thing I will say I explained to someone who was willing to actually question. That's up to you how you share that with others.
so we must honor those of your kind who fall amongst us. As though you're lowering yourselves to engage in our problems. How will you honor those of us that fall? Every bone now who licks the boots, blows above him, who lays down their life so that one of us doesn't have to sacrifice themselves in chimnage to your grand dreams. How will you guys honor their memory?
I suggest if you want us to make sure that you're honored, aside from me honoring you, should anything happen to you, if you want to make sure that there's equal recompense, you make sure those individuals that are sent back to speak to my count bring their A game. Because I'm going to tell you right now, based on the way things currently stand, we don't owe you anything in that regard. As harsh and as bitter as that may be, if a pill to swallow, Bailey, that is the truth. But if you were to fall, for every year of my life that I have left on this place, I'd sing that song of your moon, the one that made you cry. But that's me, Bailey, to you. That's not my people to your people. Do you want something in return? You make sure those galliards, whatever they're called, you make sure they understand that they need to understand that they should be doing their job better. I'm sure they were sent for a very specific purpose. Sorry, they're falling short. Bring their A game.
Tell me something. Does every bargain made with you guys serve you better than the ones you're bargaining with? Or is there ever an actual chance for a fair shake?
Well, there is happily ever after.
She gives like a sad laugh. Do you actually believe in happily ever after?
I know of happily ever after.
Yeah. Maybe this war will be over in the blink of an eye and we all laugh together in the sunset.
I hate war. You know what I was once called? Long time ago, yet not so long ago.
What's that?
I was the dancer of the crimson field.
You dance?
Not as much as I used to. It was just me versus the hills and the legions. They covered it. None could lay a blade on me. And with every word I spoke, either scathing a mark, they burned, they cut, they ripped. I danced through all of them, and their blood fed the grass, and the hills are now forever red, crimson with their freshly spilled blood coursing through them. I hate war, and I'm no stranger to it. I may not pick someone up or crush them with my bare hands, but I'm no stranger to it. And when I fight that war, if you or someone else puts me on that line, I will fight, but not in the way that you expect me to. I will flatten their legions with words. I'll tear them apart. You want an example of a massacre from simple words? Look to the newspaper dated, he gives the date. I don't remember it off the top of my head. He would know.
It's like March 27th.
Yeah. The incident with the animatronic dinosaur There was no dinosaur, Bailey. And those deaths may not all have been me. But that grisly scene, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words rip ever so viscerally. And that's just me. And I promise you, every single one of ours is more than capable.
I hope so, Charles. Because chances for a fairy tale ending are slim to none. Where I've called in my own reserves, made bargains, for all that our people think that we should be full fledged armies of one and have many armies of one. My people, people whose defining name is a goddamn slur. We know something that a lot of the others seem to have forgotten. And that is, in nature, it's a numbers game. Which is why you ain't ever gonna see a rat on an endangered species list. Do me a favor. Never harm a rat. No poison, no traps, no nothing like that. It'll go far to show the lowest of the low a certain modicum of respect.
Hmm. No harm to a rat.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. What was it?
No harm to a rat.
No harm to a rat. And if you feel like extending that to other rodentia, uh, mice, squirrels, I guess rabbits, then yeah, that kind of special to us too. Basically, if they keep numbers up by breeding in mass multiple times a year, we're okay with them.
As long as they don't harm me, I won't hurt them.
Now, how could a rat ever harm you? She gives like a smile.
But he smiles back. Are we okay?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Thanks for letting me know what we've got ourselves into. The information flow from my own seems to be a little blocked. I figured at least my boss would have clued me in on what we've got promised, but he's more along the lines of a strong silent type.
Hmm. Speaking of your boss, you did promise me two others.
Mm. The the group that call themselves the Get Offenders, or the Get,
Hmm.
don't know much about them. They seem kind of angry. And, hmm. You know, I have not seen a Black Fury in a while. Imagine, like, the angriest feminist you've ever met, and then amplify that by Garu. There's others, far more prestigious, far less prestigious. But I figure maybe you can't hurt anybody with that. Not that you would.
Fair enough. Do you have more questions for me, Bailey? Or did you need to use my shower?
uh, I nah, I got a place to shower again. Actually, moved my Winnebago again. There's a scrapyard in Lower Manhattan.
Hmm.
If for some reason you decide to come slum it, just make sure you call ahead so I can make sure that we're prepared for company.
Oh, I thought I would return the favor of being a surprise visit.
Yes, well, I apologize. My concerns got the better of me, I suppose.
Hmm.
Not that I mind surprise visits. You're more than welcome to bug me. It's I'm not quite sure how others handle surprises. So, in an effort to keep you out of any unfortunate misunderstandings, calling ahead ensures that I don't fall short in protecting again. You know.
Hmm.
But
Very
if
well.
you are feeling bold, a surprise visit is up to you.
Hmm. We'll see how I'm feeling that day.
Thanks for letting me know. That that helps me a lot, actually. And she finishes off the
Hmm.
bourbon, sets down the glass, the ice long melted.
I will have to tell him that I let you know. Thus, my head rolled. But where you go from there is up to you.
If You know what? If he tries to make something of it, don't tell him you told your friend. You can tell him you told the worm, though.
The worm foe.
Yeah.
I think that'll be far more suitable.
And she gets up, and even though the spell has been removed, it does still seem as though the weight of the world is on her shoulders. She gathers up her stuff from the cubby hole. Uh, Thanks for your hospitality, Charles.
You're welcome, baby. Stay safe.
And sweet dreams. And she heads out.
Mm. And Charles pulls out his phone and he starts to text. He omits some details, but for the most part, he does inform the Count about his explanation to the worm foe of the Garu. He learned of other tribe names in exchange for the names of Puka and Troll. He's learned that they each represent a moon's phase and sign. He doesn't know all the names. He knows Galliard and he knows Ragabash. At least he knows Ragabash is that of the new moon. And I think, he says as he types in, that I proved to at least the worm foe that we are not weak.
Moments later, you receive a text back reading simply, "The fuck is a worm foe?" And that's where we'll end our scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching, and we'll see you next time.